Hi, I'm Marc Jocum, Product and Investment Strategist at Global X ETFs, and in this Explained series, we're going to be talking about fixed income. So to start off, what is fixed income? Fixed income is an asset class that provides you regular income payments or coupon payments over a fixed maturity until that end date. And whilst a lot of people may be familiar with cash or term deposits, they may be missing out on a broader range of securities within the fixed income asset class. And one of that is bonds. Now, a bond is essentially when you as the investor lend money out to a government or an institution in order for them to fund their operations or to expand, and in return, they promise to pay you that principal amount at the end of the maturity date, but also give you interest along the way or coupon payments along the way, hence the term fixed income. And there's different types of bonds available to investors. First is government bonds. So these are bonds that are issued by, for example, the federal government or the Treasury Department. Then you've got semi-government bonds. So those are ones issued by territories or state governments. And then finally is corporate bonds. So these are the ones issued by institutions. And in terms of the interest or the coupon you can get, there's a few different types of rates that you can get. The first is a floating rate or a variable rate, which fluctuates based on market conditions. Then there's a fixed rate, which is just a fixed amount of interest every single time. And lastly is one that's linked to a particular index or a reference rate, such as inflation. And when we're talking about corporate bonds, it's important to talk about the capital structure. So the capital structure, particularly within a bank, refers to the mix of debt and equity of a bank's balance sheet. So pretty much you've got near the top of the capital stack is senior bonds. And they provide that first layer of defense because that's what a capital structure is. In terms of if the bank were to ever go into liquidation, who would get their money out first? And senior bonds are towards the top of that. Obviously, to compensate, because they're not as risky as the ones lower down, the yields are a little bit lower, but they are considered the safer ones. Then if you go a level down, you've got subordinated bonds, or what's known as Tier 2 capital. These rank a little bit more junior to senior bonds, but you do get compensated with a higher yield than you would get for senior bonds. Finally, we go one level down into hybrid securities. Now, hybrids, also known as additional Tier 1 capital, is a mix of debt and equity, so both bonds and shares. And even though it may be a little bit more volatile, investors do get the benefit of having franking credits attached to it as well. So now that you know a little bit about bonds, why would you want to invest in bonds, particularly within the fixed income suite? There's three main reasons. The first is around generating a predictable income stream. So bonds will pay you a regular income, normally it's monthly or quarterly, and it is a nice way to generate passive income for your portfolio. Secondly is around capital preservation. So while shares may be a little bit more volatile and the outcome may not be as known, bonds is a little bit more predictable. You know that you will get your maturity, your principal at the end of the maturity date, assuming that there's no default or event by the actual issuer themselves. So it can create a bit more of a predictable outcome path for you. And then finally is around diversification. So bonds and shares generally act in a different manner, and bonds can really act as a bit of a ballast in your portfolio to act as a defensive cushion just in case share markets fall. So that's why you may want to use fixed income in your portfolio, a great way to enhance your income, preserve your capital, and also add defense into your portfolio. It's an emerging asset class, and with the benefits of ETFs, it makes it a lot more accessible and easier for investors. So that's it for this Explained series. We look forward to seeing you next time.